Oop. No one. Mayday. Mayday.
Sorry, good song.
Yeah. There you go.
Chicks dig it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Bytes podcast, episode number 162 of the show. I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And every single week on the podcast, we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek news and tech news. We discuss that news, of course, anything else we happen to be interested in that weekend. This week, we're talking about
A little thing, in San Diego. Comic-Con, what do you think? Wake up. So, Comic-Con with 2018 announcements and trailers and anything else that comes up in the geek news this week.
Absolutely. A lot of great stuff since the last time we were on the show, but we, of course, begin the show always with geek news. Rep. There we go.
Boom.
Things that are there and there. Okay.
Yeah.
In Geek News this week, we have some great stuff. We're going to go over real quickly the things that have happened in the last few weeks since we've been on together. A ton of news since the last episode, including like the death of Steve Ditko, Jeremy Renner and Jamie Foxx joining the cast for Spawn. Billy D. Williams going to return to Star Wars and episode number 9, 10? 17? I forgot.
Yes.
Neil Blomkamp is going to be directing the sequel to the original RoboCop. It's actually be set right after the original one. And then there's going to be one Blockbuster video store left in the entire world. Apparently, it's in Idaho. The two that were in Alaska have closed down officially. So lots of interesting news there. Anything else? Anything that you want to say about those things, man?
Oh, but those things, let's see. Did you watch what's the name of that one HBO show? He used to be on the Daily Show. They had a thing where
John Oliver? And,
thank you. There you go.
Yeah, Last Week Tonight.
Yeah, they did an auction to help out that Blockbuster in Alaska where they bid on Russell Crowe's personal mementos to display at the Blockbuster store to hopefully increase revenue and more people to go there. But it didn't help. Didn't help.
I guess just even in the digital age, just those kind of things aren't helping out as much as we'd hope they would.
My thing is like be Blockbuster and all that, but who still has a membership other than those people that specific store?
No, that's just them. I think Blockbuster tried to do a bunch of things before they shut down, like trying to do a digital streaming service for their library of videos and stuff. It just never really worked out. They tried to go the Netflix route, and they just didn't have the pull. Yeah. Sucks for them.
But as for the RoboCop, now we're talking the Frank Miller version, or that one reboot.
No, I think they're doing the reboot. So they're doing the sequel to that one. So either way, Neil Blomkamp is he does some good stuff like District 9 and Chappie. Are part of the ones you might know him the most from, but he also has his own production company. We've seen a few of his original like short films or like little commercials for his stuff, and they're all very sci-fi, very interesting. So I'm kind of curious to see what he does with that particular property.
Yeah, because as much as I would love to see the original RoboCop come back, it'd be so slow. It's
a thing. Yeah. And we have someone actually showed up. Brad Summerlin, # serious Brad in the house. Up, boys.
Yes.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad, what's going on, man? Well, any question you guys got at the time, drop it off. It might be a little bit of a delay, but we'll get to you.
Yes, there is going to be a slight delay between the time you see us talk and actually hear us on Facebook. That's just the nature of the thing.
Now, Bill D. Williams, he's pretty old, but he's not like Walker old, is he?
Well, no, he was. I mean, he's more old than like Harrison Ford. I mean, even though they killed him off.
Yeah.
And since his character has kind of have a re-emergence, I guess, in Han Solo, it kind of makes sense that he would come back, especially with Han being dead. Someone has to comfort Leia. Oh, no, wait, she's dead too. Yeah, everybody's dead.
Unless he gets it on with the corpse or something.
No, I guess. Yeah, no, that doesn't... Yeah, I'm not sure why he's coming back then at this point. Like, the original trilogy crew is, like, almost entirely dead.
Yeah.
They just had to kill off him and, like, Chewie, which I don't doubt that they're going to do.
Yeah, OG members. Well, we'll see how it works. It'll be good for him, some exposure. Everybody wanted to see him in general back, but I guess depending on how they're going to work him in the storyline. Steve Ditko, man, his artwork, his everything was amazing.
Good stuff. I think everybody gave him like a nice send off.
Tributes,
everybody, even Stan Lee.
Now, your personal opinion, Jamie Foxx as Spawn.
It's a big name for a movie. That's definitely going to help bring in people in seats. I don't know how they're going to use him, but it is a windfall for the movie.
Yeah, because the closest thing to a semi-dark character I've seen, especially a comic book version, of course, would be Electro. But even that version was kind of
it's okay.
He has that voice, though. He has a really soft voice. So I'm thinking like Brooding Spawn, like if you saw the original movie or even the cartoon version, he's like, oh, I am. Very Batman.
I think they said they're going to change a script for him potentially because the original script called for Spawn not actually talking a lot and just existing and it not being an origin story, but already having been spawned, and that was what the original script was going to be. And now with a big name like Jamie Foxx come in, they're probably going to change it so that he talks more and you actually see the guy under the mask.
Yeah, because Jamie Foxx, he's not exactly like a big dude with a soft voice like Mike Tyson. He's like, hey guys, but he has that like little, hey guys.
You definitely add somebody like Jamie Foxx for his face recognition and for his his voice and seeing him on film. You don't just put him behind a mask and like not ever see him ever again. That'll be a very interesting choice.
Would have gone with somebody else.
Jamie Foxx will justify their budget. Like they could probably get more money for the film with Jamie Foxx than they can without it.
Which I'm surprised is
that might be good.
I'm surprised Todd McFarlane was like, okay, I'm cool with that. I'm like, really, Todd?
Hey,
really?
whatever it takes to get a movie funded, man.
I guess.
So we'll have to wait and see what the final project is. Okay, so onto some more recent news. We have James Gunn apparently was recently fired from Disney by Disney for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This just happened this weekend for tweets he made 10 years ago. That's right. Somebody from a show dug up his tweets from 10 years ago about
bored were they?
They were kind of making a point about like, oh, James Gunn is making negative comments for conservative people and the president, but look at these tweets he did 10 years ago about pedophilia and rape. They were just like not funny statements, and even he said like, oh yeah, those are things I said. I was trying to be I was trying to be provocative. It was poorly done. They weren't funny, and those were his statements after he got fired, of course. But they got him fired. Things he said 10 years ago, tweeted 10 years ago, are being used to fire him today. So that is definitely a thing that happened.
Well, especially for being Disney, and I love this. I love social media when everybody digs up old stuff on everybody else. There was this one great post where they showed like all of Disney's old racist cartoons and racist this.
I'm sorry, Disney. Your past is entirely clean if you're looking at it through like the lens of modernism.
Exactly. I'm like, really? You wanna base somebody on their past? I'm like,
and at the same time, the other members of the cast or the crew and other people he knows or people who are just supporting him have kind of pushed back. Dave Bautista plays Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy came to Gunn's defense saying James Gunn is the most loving, caring, good-natured people I've ever met. He's gentle and kind and cares deeply for people and animals. He's made mistakes. We all have. I'm not okay with what's happening to him. And some other celebrities have also come to his defense, including Patton Oswalt and some other folks who are comedians and recognize those are things he said years and years ago, yet you're holding against them now.
It's kind of sad that pretty much anybody in the entertainment business is like, as long as they can find some kind of crap that you said, and people are very, very careful to try not to tread, trying to like, especially to be a comedian.
Well, no, being a comedian means that you generally push things, and that's part of the thing. Not that James Gunn is a comedian, but he definitely took a particular choice in his statements, and he's not like he's saying he's not accountable for them. He hasn't argued that those statements shouldn't matter. He's taken responsibility as far as I've seen, and at the same time, these are things he said 10 years ago. I'm like, he's a different person. If you're going to hold everything against us from our stupid past, none of us are going to be employed. And at the same time, there are plenty of fans who have signed an online petition at change.org to actually get him rehired on Disney. Something like 18,000 signatures have already been gathered for this particular thing. So it is... Maybe it'll change. Maybe won't matter. But it feels very unfair for this to happen. Yeah,
because right now that we know, I think there is a script, but obviously they haven't started filming. So other than, of course, relating with the whole Infinity War, did they come up with a title for the sequel?
I'm not sure. I mean, they have a working title. They have that done. They're just doing post-production stuff.
Because that's the only other tie-in that I can think of with Guardians until that comes out and they make obviously Volume 3
is going to be... I'm not sure where Guardians 3 is going to be in the timeline. I don't think they've actually said.
It has to be before because...
They haven't said.
I mean, not before, but afterwards.
Afterwards. Before Infinity Wars or after, I don't know.
Because, couple of those people are ashes right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they need to do it afterwards.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do. But yeah, so that is part of the news this week. And some other entertainment news, we have some new details that have emerged regarding the villains that you might see in Matt Reeves' The Batman, which is one of the upcoming Batman feature films coming up, and also in Suicide Squad 2. The news comes from Grace Randolph, who previously broke news regarding the character that appeared in Birds of Prey. News around the Batman. Villains include the Penguin, might be playing a role, but also the Court of Owls. So if you're not familiar with that particular comic arc, it was a more recent one where Batman finds out there's a secret society among Gotham's rich elite called the Court of Owls, and they've been essentially running Gotham secretly for the entire time, and Batman is trying to take them down. So it's a very interesting plot there, in that an owl is a predator for bats, like it kills bats, and so there's that connection. It's very almost a psychedelic turn for Batman in that particular arc there. In the Suicide Squad 2, rumored villains in that particular one are going to be Zatanna, Raven, Amazo, and Kara Zor-El. Kara Zor-El is also known as Supergirl, and Amazo is an android with the power to duplicate the skills and abilities of his opponent. So we have two different movie franchises with some very interesting villain choices.
This live action or animated?
These are all live action.
Oh,
well, for Suicide Squad 2, it'll be the sequel to the one with Harley Quinn.
Nice.
Yeah, and the Batman is going to be again the newest live action version of the Batman franchise.
Yeah, especially with stuff that's going on in the world of Comic-Con. I'm hearing a lot more DC stuff than Marvel.
Well, Marvel doesn't actually need the press. Marvel has not shown up very much for this particular San Diego Comic-Con. I think they just had the one. They had a one booth where it was like, oh, if you need emotional support for the end of Infinity Wars, we're here to give you free hugs, and that was kind of it. That's all you got from Marvel at this point.
Or their Netflix stuff. That's the only thing.
I just think they don't have anything to really talk about at this point. But at least for this San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, like we got Disney money, bitch. Come on.
They don't really need the press at this point. There's nothing really that they're promoting. Nothing's coming out in the next few months, I think, for Marvel, right? It's all mostly DC at this point.
Other than Ant-Man and the Wasp that just came out recently.
Yeah, but that's already done, so they don't need to do San Diego Comic-Con. No. Although I think there was like maybe a panel with those particular folks there.
Yeah.
So so good stuff. What do you think of those villains though for Suicide Squad?
Cool. I want to see their take on it, because other than in the Arrowverse, they had touched on Bloodhaven, but they never actually filmed on it, because that's isn't that Robin's stomping grounds? His Nightwing
the old
area?
School? Yeah. But the Suicide Squad 2 is. Remember, the Suicide Squad is meant to be this black ops group of villains that are supposed to kill people.
Yeah.
And yet the people they're supposed to be killing are Zatanna, who's a magic hero.
Yeah.
Raven, who's part of the Teen Titans. Magic again.
So it's kind of like the Justice League Dark.
Yeah, except that these guys are going to be murdered at the end of their run if they don't do their job. Amazo makes sense. Amazo's always been a villain.
Amazo's been an interesting character. I've only known him more through the Justice League animated series. Because in the comics, never read it. Don't know much about him.
He was always like a foil for like some of the heroes, but also for like Superman specifically, because he copies Superman's powers, and then he's just as powerful as Superman.
Yeah.
But also the bad guy is going to be Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. So you're going to see some pretty big names as far as like the villains in the Suicide Squad too. I don't know if they fleshed out the entire cast for the, I don't want to say heroes, but for like the main cast. I mean, Harley Quinn is obviously going to be back. You couldn't have this without her. But I'm curious with the other characters that are going to show up there for the evil heroes.
The only question is obviously, because we're going to talk about it eventually later about the Titans movie, if they're going to use those characters for this version.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think, again, they always try to separate the television stuff from the movie stuff in these particular franchises, whether it's going to be like the CW, DCU, and the regular movie stuff. So I don't think they're going to have any crossover. But they're still using those same characters. For example, like you said, Titans, Ravens there, which will also be in this particular movie, but they're probably not going to be the same actresses and actors. But interesting stuff, though. Also, let's see other news that came out recently. We know that Joaquin Phoenix is actually going to be the Joker in a standalone movie. This Wednesday, Warner Bros. Announced a few other details about that, including a release date of October the 4th, 2019 for that particular movie. There's also a title for this particular movie. It's going to be called Joker. Not the Joker, not the Batman's foil of the Joker, but the just Joker. And according to the director, the film is going to center around an iconic arch nemesis. Is an original standalone story not seen before on the big screen. Phillips' exploration of a man disregarded by society is not only a gritty character study, but also a broader cautionary tale.
There's supposed to be 3 Joker movies coming out. This one, a Jared Leto version, and I think another one. I just can't remember who.
No, I think they're doing a Joker and Harley Quinn one.
Yeah,
that was the third one, I think.
Yeah.
But this one feels like it's diagnosed itself. This story's never been seen on the big screen, but you might have seen it on the small screen. That's my impression of it. Like I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing the Killing Joke.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, man, he's been a pretty serious kind of character, person.
But I mean, it also plays into the origin story they're talking about, which is the Killing Joke touches on that origin story of a fallen comedian turned gangster, and
of course the biggest thing is obviously you have Joker, but you almost cannot have Joker without the Batman. Yeah,
I'm curious to see how they're going to pull that in, where there's just going to be side shadows, or just going to be from the Joker's perspective of this is how he sees his foil. Maybe in the Joker's mind, he's the hero and he's helping everybody, but he's crazy. And, I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that.
I wonder what style art-wise they're going to go for his look. Because the one thing I got to give credit for the different versions of the Joker, they do, modify, if not adapt his look. Because, let's see, what's his name? Cesar Romero. He had his little iconic, even though he had the makeup over his mustache. He just
refused to shave his beard. That's all that was. They asked him to, but he's like, no, that's part of my look. I do another show.
Yeah. Then
so I'm keeping the beard. I'm keeping the mustache.
Then you got Jack Nicholson, where they did the prosthetic makeup to make that grin smile. Right. And of course Heath Ledger, his is awesome. It was pretty awesome. They gave him those scars too. And of course Jared Leto with the tattoos and all that. That was a whole interesting version. A lot of mixed opinions on it, but I like the diversity. That way you could say, I like this version other than that. Not just a cheap knockoff version of the existing one.
Right. Okay, so all kinds of good stuff there. So we'll have to wait and see what it comes out again. October the 4th, 2019. So Halloween a year from now.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, in more entertainment news, we have... one of the more interesting trailers that came out this week was for Power Rangers versus Street Fighter Showdown. Apparently, this is going to be a short film. We'll show the trailer to you without the sound, because otherwise YouTube will knock us around for copyright infringement. But it's very entertaining. You actually see actual Power Rangers.
Remnants
you see Tommy
of the broken Megazords.
You see Jason David Frank, also known as Tommy, with the Green Ranger, but also, of course, the Street Fighter characters. You see Ryu, Chun-Li, and Bison.
Yeah, I thought it was a promo for their. They did have a handheld video game, or at least should I say, a app, where it was the Street Fighter characters versus the Power Rangers. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It's a little promo thing, but they said they're going to be a short film. I was like, what?
I think they're also doing this part in relation to a comic book as well.
Yeah, because they do have the whole Bat in the Sun series, where you see a lot of versus. They did have a Green Ranger versus Ryu episode, which was really well done. They obviously got Jason David Frank, the OG Green Ranger, did the makeup, did
he's the
everything.
One who's more he feels the most tied into the long term Power Ranger franchise at this point. He's definitely playing that character for all it's worth throughout all the incarnations. He's been off and on in that show for a really long time.
Yeah, because they were expecting him to be the Dakin guy for the new comic book thing, which I'm surprised they weren't promoting that, of him being a hybrid of the White Ranger and the Green Ranger fused together.
For an alternate universe.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that as well. I think he did do that character in a promo for the comic book series. I think.
And of course, seeing Ryu as a Power Ranger, they have shown some little bit of artwork, a mock-up with him, with the morpher, with his uniform.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I'm like, is he just going to be donning the Red Ranger outfit, or are they going to give him his own gear kind of thing?
No, it'll probably be the Red Ranger. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
but interesting stuff there. Okay, so now on to San Diego Comic-Con. 20 minutes into the show, we're actually talking about some things that came out this past weekend from that particular Comic-Con. Beginning with DC Universe, DC Comics' first big announcements this weekend at San Diego Comic-Con. They're basically going to be doing their own streaming service. So Netflix, except with just DC stuff, it's going to be $75 a year, or $8 a month, basically. And you get all of those DC stuff, live action series from the past and present, animated series, curated rotation selection of comics as well, apparently. And it's going to be available on iOS, Android, Apple TV, anything you can use, basically. Some of the classic stuff include Christopher Reeve's Superman series, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman from 1977, the Max Fleischer animated Superman series, Batman Ninja, which is a animated movie they have, The Dark Knight, and also Batman the Brave and the Bold, Justice League animated series, Batman Beyond, and much more close, including like Lois and Clark, the Superman Adventures, Constantine, Adventures of Superboy, all those different things you've ever seen in DC. They're going to be all in one place, which kind of makes sense as why they've been pulling them out from other locations, to be honest. In the live action section, these are more modern things. You're actually going to get a few things. And Danny Martinez, hey, there you go. Young Justice. Yes, yeah. Danny. Young Justice. We'll get to that in a little bit. We actually should have that a little bit later. Not that you're going to hear this anytime soon. Delays, folks. But Titans, Doom Patrol, and Swamp Thing are all going to be live action shows that they're producing specifically for DC's streaming service. The Titans are going to follow the young heroes from across the DC universe as they come of age and find belonging in a gritty take on the classic Teen Titan franchise. We actually have a trailer for that. That was the big thing that they showed off, was the trailer for that. Before we get to that, also Doom Patrol, which is a reimagining of one of DC's strangest groups of Outcast, Roboto Man, Negative Man, Elasti-Woman, and Crazy Jane, led by the mysterious Dr. Niles Calder. They're called in action by the ultimate heroes for digital age, Cyborg. So I don't know if anybody remembers Doom Patrol. I know Kevin Smith talked about it with one of the creators of that particular story arcs and series, but also Swamp Thing, which is probably a little more well known than Doom Patrol. It follows Abby Arcane as she investigates what seems to be a deadly swamp-borne virus in a small town in Louisiana, but soon discovers that the swamp holds a mystical and terrifying secrets. So Swamp Thing is going to be a live action show. So fun stuff. We're going to show you right now the Titans trailer. Yes, I wish to proceed. There is some cursing here, folks, which is probably the biggest surprise of this trailer, in that Robin says F Batman. Yeah. He says the full cursey version.
Everybody's like,
yeah, how dare he? How the boy he raised.
Exactly. That's your daddy. How dare you
talk to your dad that way?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's pretty dark. I was like, remember when we first saw the pictures? We're like, where are they going to go with this?
It was very much an older Robin, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, you would be Nightwing at that point, right? Yeah. You wouldn't be Robin. You would be Nightwing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting take. He's an actual detective, it looks like, in the beginning of that shot with Raven. So I'm like, that's curious. And the first thing the villains ask, oh, where's Batman? He's the one it's worried about. And, Robin's response is, as a grown man, F Batman. Like, who needs Batman? Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's going to be a change of the costume. He will obviously don his Robin gear, and you know what? Probably try to break away. Will eventually change out.
He's also just like older than everybody, like a lot older.
Yeah.
In this shot, like everybody else is a teen. He looks like he's like, I don't know, late 20s.
Well, it's hard to get.
And then you have their mentors of like the who are their two characters? I forget their names. Peace and War or something.
Hawk and Dove.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that's what I was noticed when I saw like the little feather outfit, and of course you finally see Starfire.
Yep.
Beast Boy, but it looked like he was going to transform, but they didn't show him actually change.
They probably
into
just
something.
haven't done the transformation CGI yet, and I think they devoted the most time to Raven.
Exactly.
And her dark magic story thing going on.
She reminds me of like how they went with Suicide Squad with that one girl. What's her name? The witch one.
Oh, you mean the Enchantress?
There you go. Yeah. But it looks good. Definitely got people's attention. My whole thing with the DC streaming service, I didn't think they really have as much stuff as that there is.
No, they produced a lot of cartoons in the last few years, in the last decade. They have tons of animated stuff, and they have their catalog of like actual DC movies, which goes all the way back to Christopher Reeve's Superman stuff, and also you have Superman, the like old like.
Well, especially with
television show.
Well, especially the stuff on the CW and the little collaboration, because obviously Warner Brothers does all their animated stuff.
I don't think they're pulling that into it, though. I don't think they're doing the DC CW stuff, because someone else still has the rights to that, as far as like streaming and distribution rights. So they're definitely pulling a bunch of old stuff, all their animated stuff, all their live action movies, and the television shows they kind of have the right to that are like slightly older. So it's going to be kind of a nostalgia fest. Yeah, but I don't know if they have. I agree. I don't know if they have the catalog to justify $8 a month or $74 a year.
Yeah, because especially if unless it's like Disney, obviously Disney has their whole library, and Marvel and so and so.
So I think they're banking on specifically these live action shows, these new things to draw them in the same way that CBS is trying to pull in viewers for their streaming service based on their new like Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, because
it's only there.
I would totally see it if they went the route of becoming like the DCWB. Because then you actually would have your whole library of Warner Brothers cartoons and everything else that they have all together. And that would kind of make it at least more worth it. Because they did do a little bit of collaboration where they've done like crossover episodes, if you will. Remember that time where, since it was obviously Warner Brothers, where they did a thing where it was like the Bugs Bunny cartoon characters adopting the DC powers?
Yeah, Justice League, like the Justice League Looney Tunes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that... They have a whole range of things they could have done, plus their old catalog stuff, of course, from just the Warner Brothers cartoons in general.
Well, yeah, no, but basically everybody's trying to like do a streaming service because they don't want to. Essentially, they want the big bucks. They want to be Netflix. They want to be, Hulu.
It's content.
They're like, oh, we have content. Why can't we just stream this and have people pay us? Mm-hmm. That's it. Seems like it's pretty easy to do. I'm like,
the exclusiveness. That way, if you want to see this stuff, you gotta pay through us.
That's kind of what it's going to end up being. Like, if you want to see this new Teen Titans show, you have to sign up for the DC streaming service, and it's going to be essentially going to be like, oh, you pay for it or you steal it, and that's going to be your two options.
Now, are you going to pay for it?
We'll see.
If there's a way to watch that individual, which it's going to happen, it's going to be on YouTube.
You could probably find it on like Apple or something the next day.
Exactly.
Like a week later or something maybe.
Yeah.
Unless they that's kind of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we'll have to wait and see if it's even good enough.
Yeah, because don't get me wrong, as much Batman awesomeness as there is out there, I don't think worth $8 a month. Yeah,
it's kind of a thing. Like, it's another thing to sign up for. Like, I already have Netflix, I already have Hulu, I already have Amazon Prime. Do I need another thing? And the answer is probably no, unless you're just like a super fan. So you might just end up purchasing the Teen Titans Season 1 when it's actually finished.
I think the only route they would get me is if they do a combination with like Loot Crate. So for every monthly service,
there's lots of promotional things.
You get some little goodies.
Okay. In other Comic-Con news, we have Warner Brothers showed off the new closed-door footage of Wonder Woman 1984, which is just the footage from set in the 1984 for Wonder Woman 2. We have Wonder Woman 80 style, a whole lot of action. There's a small little summation of it. The trailer starts off with Wonder Woman in her outfit at a mall. A little girl watches as Wonder Woman face off against two men with guns. She saves the little girl and easily defeats the two. She uses her lasso to tie them up, and then jumps off a balcony and swings away. The footage cuts to Wonder Woman running through the streets super fast as a crowd of people stand by with old cars and watch.
Now, one thing that I kind of like, but they're still doing that, like a little closed circuit, showing of their trailers.
Yes.
They don't just straight out, we know it's going to get exposed unless they're doing that route. Remember,
it might be just like taking people's phones.
Yeah, I was going to say they're probably doing that thing what they've done before when I went to go see a little exclusive releases of things. They do that. They'll take your phone, they'll put it in a little baggie, they'll give you a ticket, matches it so you can get towards the end. But they've gone to the hardcore route where they actually got the electronic wand thing and go over you to make sure exactly.
So it's an interesting bit of information. I'm kind of curious to see what they do with this. But I'm honestly not super excited about Wonder Woman 2 yet, because it's not even finished production. They're still filming it. It's like, how much can they actually show? We've seen a few still shots of like Trevor and not even like Cheetah in her like cat form,
Kristen
but
Wiig
Kristen Wiig walking around as herself basically with 80s hair. So I'm not too excited yet, but I'm definitely probably gonna watch it when it comes out.
And the part that's gonna be funny, of course, everybody wants to see her just squatting, sitting down in her invisible jets. I don't know how they're gonna go, what they're gonna do.
I don't know that she needs to, because the new 52 Wonder Woman flies. She flies. So you don't really need that. Yeah. You don't need an invisible jet.
I want to say that they're probably gonna work along where it's a stealth jet that she just happens to be flying.
Yes.
And that's how they're gonna try to tie it in.
Okay. Now, other things that showed up at San Diego Comic-Con included a new look at at Venom. He might as well be Spawn. Fans were sort of excited. It depends on which news articles you're reading about. In the clip, Tom Hardy's character, Eddie Brock, struggles to get the symbiote under control. He tries meditating, but there's more footage of him, more violent scenes interspersed as he attempts to clear his mind. You cannot change the past, but in the present moment, you are in total control, a voiceover says, but clearly that's not the case. Then you see Dr. Carlton Drake, demonstrating the symbiote's effect on an unwilling victim or patient. He's intent on forcing humanity to evolve. In another scene, Eddie races down the street on a motorcycle with the symbiote erupts from his body, attacking nearby cars. We've seen that scene already. Eddie speaks to the symbiote, which can project words directly in Eddie's mind or appear as a CG Venom head protruding from Eddie's body. And another scene, the two appear to have melded and reached some sort of balance. The symbiote's face peels away partially from Eddie's, and the two proclaim together, "We are Venom." That ends the scene, basically. So that's, again, one of those closed circuit, closed room kind of little...
but we all see the trailer pretty much, so it covers just about a majority of it.
They're showing a few other clips, and I think they're testing the water to see, does this Venom look, or does this Venom storyline kind of get you guys excited? And I think the answer is maybe. I haven't heard a ton of stories from people saying like, "Oh, this was it. It sold me on Venom." And it's been like, "Oh yeah, that's
your take.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not disappointed, but I'm not like super excited either." So I'm like,
And of course, the coverage on it, they were talking about this is not going to be connected to the MCU.
Yeah.
But then there's been some like side rumors about like there was what's his name? Not Garfield. What's the name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. There you go. Being around and saying that like, "Oh, he's going to be there," or
well, they definitely teased it apparently at the panel, saying, "Oh, if the film does well, yeah, we're definitely going to do a crossover between Tom Holland's Spider-Man and this one." A lot of people noted that the bigger view of Venom, he doesn't have the white spider on him.
Of course.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So they're definitely distancing themselves in this particular first film. But if it makes buku bucks, they're going to cross over because Venom is a Spider-Man franchise, and so why not use, your big Spider-Man stick to help promote this and cross promote and make new figures of them fighting each other and all kinds of stuff.
Well, that was the whole thing, and especially I think that might be the sequel, hopefully, with the Infinity War, the Secret Wars, because that's how Spider-Man got the Venom costume.
Secret Wars, not Infinity Wars. Yeah. That's the one with Galactus coming to devour the Earth.
Yeah.
And like all the heroes in that particular universe working together. I think they might do that if and when Disney actually buys Fox. And gets all those 20th Century Fox gets all those characters back. That's definitely it.
Yeah, we're waiting for the official word. Right now, they're like, there's conjunction.
Well, look, everybody else has dropped out on that, so that's also part of one of the stories in the past 3 weeks. Like everybody else has dropped out. Disney made the biggest bid. They have the most money, and so the only thing holding them up is like a shareholder who's suing them to try to get back the other bids. I'm like, okay, that's whatever. It'll be time, folks.
Guys, just being a greedy little bitch.
They are businessmen. In other news, we have news that Joss Whedon is actually going to be remaking Buffy the Vampire Slayer with a
twist.
Black actress playing the role of the Slayer. So instead of a white Valley Girl Buffy, you might have a black Valley Girl Buffy, I guess.
Just don't, quote unquote, ethnic it, inner city it. The whole soundtrack has to be all hip hop kind of thing. I'm not against it.
I don't have a problem with that, I guess, but I do understand what you're saying, that part of the franchise is particular vibe, a particular look, but this is from the original creator of the show, so I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem with like seeing this kind of thing happen on.
Did you watch the Buffy series?
Yeah, I didn't watch every single episode. I remember seeing the first few seasons pretty regularly, and then after that, it phased out into Angel and then some other like spin-off shows.
Yeah. Well, I saw it. They did have eventually a Slayer of color, if you will.
They didn't have a Slayer of color. They had like a whole franchise of Slayers at some point, including like Felicia Day.
Yeah, they had this one chick that I forgot that specific Slayer's name, but I remember her little steak she called Mr. Pointy. Oh. I was like, oh man, bring back Mr. Pointy. But we'll see how they're going to go. What do you think? So if it's a reboot, obviously, which means most likely they're going to bring back an Angel. Do you think that Angel will be of diverse nature, of ethnicity? I
think they could do a star-crossed lover thing. He might be super white. You never know. He could be black. He could be Hispanic. If they're going to do a complete reboot, obviously, then they don't have to keep any of the old stuff entirely. So they could do Spike instead of Angel, being the main character, like her main love interest. But we'll wait and see. I don't think any of us are expecting too much out of this. Like Buffy as a concept was a very time sensitive period, and that like it came very shortly after a vampire craze of like, did
you watch the original movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
it came out, sounds like, oh, Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, and a bunch of other like vampire, like more serious related vampire stuff came out. And we live in an age where we have sparkly vampires, and
there's that gap though. It's kind of further away. It's been a while since I saw anything sparkly.
Yeah,
so we need to bring back
that's still the most recent version of it. There aren't a lot of serious vampires. There's like creepy vampires of like the Strain, and some other like alternative versions of vampirism. But Buffy was definitely in this weird little niche of like campy vampire humor that also try to be serious sometimes, but there's always like that undertone of like campiness and not taking it too particularly seriously. And I don't know that there is a place for that anymore. There may be. I mean, there was a redo of what was it called, the Evil Dead franchise with the same kind of campy humor. So maybe they'll do something like that.
Plus the whole concept of, obviously, we live literally in the genre of the era of reboots. So
Yes.
it was a matter of it coming back and it doing some kind of twist to give it a diverse, fresh feel, if you will. Because every 10 years, that's what's been happening. That's what I've been capturing. So it's a matter of what they're going to bring back. Like, obviously, another vampire-related thing that's going to be coming out that I don't think they've attached a lead actor yet. Morbius, the living vampire.
Yes.
That's another one that's going to be coming out eventually, but haven't had an exact date on it.
No, not yet. So we'll wait for that one as well. Another Comic-Con news, we have they're bringing back the Clone Wars animated series. That is basically the announcement. It was at the Star Wars Comic-Con booth. They announced that Star Wars: The Clone Wars were returning with 12 all-new episodes on Disney's direct-to-consumer streaming service. Another one of these examples. So you could only watch it there until someone pirates it.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty much the animated style of Star Wars Rebels, if you watch that series.
Right, which is a copy of like the Clone Wars anyways.
So, well, I saw the Clone Wars. It was on Cartoon Network. I saw it because I liked Star Wars, but I wasn't a big fan of their art style.
It's very specific, and it kind of changed with the seasons. But it's coming back at least, so you're going to get some more stories from like Anakin, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Padme. You might even see Jar Jar again at some point. But you're also going to see Ashoka and some other like really fan favorite characters.
That's the one that everybody wanted to see because they. Did you watch Star Wars Rebels?
I don't think I saw the end of it. No.
Oh, there was a whole thing where it was like her and Anakin. They were going to like square off. Yeah, and all you saw was her on her knees. Looks like she was about to attack, and he was about to attack, and it was just like that door. Falling curtain / door. Yeah, it was like, oh, what happened? Did they survive? Did they go? Yeah. What happened?
That's kind of the thing that fans are hoping to like get some closure on, because at this point, like a lot of the like old canon is gone, and so she may have survived. She may still be alive today. Yeah, she may just be hiding somewhere, and you might end up seeing her in like a new Star Wars movie, like Episode 12 or something.
Probably everybody would love to see her in the franchise, but that's up to Disney.
Yep, up to Disney. Okay, other things that were announced. We have a return of the Young Justice series, and this is they're picking up from the last series, so it isn't like they're moving like 5 or 6 years forward. It's just like it's been like 5 years since that animated series came out, and it was kind of ended with like not much closure. So they have a trailer. They announced that it's going to be a full season worth of stuff and some interesting details, including like they kind of catch you up in the trailer a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, they kept the art style, which I'm glad they didn't go for like, okay, we're going to change them up and we're going to change the costumes, we're going to do different voices or anything. But they kept it true to the series. Honestly, it does literally just pick up. You think like, oh, it obviously took a while, but they did bring it back. Yeah, and it was a good series. I liked it. I liked it a lot for a guy that's once again not a huge DC fan.
Like the Young Justice season 1 was very monster of the week, and then in season 2 they went with like this really complicated storyline of like aliens invading and multiple like bad things happening and like aliens taking over the earth, and they're continuing on that franchise of like infiltrating these bad entities and like trying to like bring them down and stuff. So it's a very interesting continuous concept. And
all the teen drama love interests of like who likes who, but secretly likes somebody else. Yeah. And like, oh my God, I liked it. I can't wait to come out.
Some stuff, and I think they're definitely returning to like all that canon stuff. So if you never watched the first 2 seasons, like this would. There's no disconnection between season 2 and season 3, I think.
It makes me wonder if it's popular enough. I love to see a live action of any of these characters on there. The closest thing obviously would be like the Flash, because there is Kid Flash in there. But yeah, I'd like to see a live action Beetle.
that would be interesting. I kind of have to wait until the other DC properties make money, but I think they could do it. Also announced is they give you a sneak peek or a trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's called The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is their new art style, their new stuff.
I think I threw up in my mouth a little.
So it's going to be on Nickelodeon in September, and this is the first trailer that they put out there. Again, we're not going to release sound because YouTube doesn't like that.
They did show a little bit of their first episode.
Yeah, the art side feels a little bit more like Samurai Jack, or like some of those kind of shows. And like there's a distinctive like over exaggeration, but also fluidity of animation and fight styles.
Yeah.
So it could potentially be interesting. I'm not a fan of how the turtles look, but it's also a kids cartoon.
Well, that's the biggest debate right now that's going on with animated franchises, if you will. Okay, like we talked about the whole every almost 10 years now they're kind of rebooting things to cash in for a new. Let's be honest, it's a new crop of kids, a new generation.
You want them to buy new toys and all that stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Especially for the hardcore fans, you're gonna obviously buy what you like, what you want. You know, you will bitch, you will complain, but eventually the whole thing is you just give your opinion. But it gives an opportunity for this new batch of kids that had never been exposed to it, and this is going to be their take on it. Because
I'm just looking at these weapons that have I'm just saying, oh, that's for toys. You're giving them all like new flashy weapons,
marketing
instead of their traditional like swords and size and nunchucks. I'm like, that's all toy sales stuff right there.
Of course,
that's all it is.
Well, think about it, especially for franchises, being especially the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. With all the versions that have been out, which one do you like?
Of the toy franchises, or
I'm talking about any version. Do you like the live action version of the first one? It was like the suits. Did you like the CG turtles? Did you like the old 80s cartoon version?
No, the old 80s cartoon was probably my favorite, and then when they went into like the movie version was fine.
You didn't like them when they went to space, or they went time traveling, or when they did a crossover with the Power Rangers?
No, I'm just with the regular one. So there you go. So we have some new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, folks, and if you like them, you don't, check it out. It'll be on Netflix in September. So also new things we saw looks at. We're going to include Shira. Shira. So He-Man's not around.
He-Man's sister.
Shira's sister or cousin? I can't remember.
Sister. So technically, they were twins. So
Shira is getting an animated franchise. He-Man, not so much anymore. So we have some stills essentially from Entertainment Weekly, and a few notes from like the directors. Entertainment Weekly had a first look at Netflix's new Shira animated series. Shira is separated from her family as a baby. She's sent to another planet, and she's adopted by the villain Overlord and raised by him and his evil army. She's been raised to believe that the villains are doing the right thing and that the princesses are the evil ones. And so we follow her as she has a crisis of faith. She's been very sheltered her whole life, and she starts to experience the world. She realizes that there's more to this than she ever knew, and that there may be a reason they're called the Evil Horde. So, like, a very interesting art style. Reminds me a bit of... well, no, it's going to be the Voltron. Yeah. Voltron, that's what it is. I'm like, a little bit of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm like, oh wait, they're the same people who did Voltron. So like, yeah, the art style would kind of carry through a little bit in those kinds of, but definitely this middle picture here with her like all lit up. So that's definitely Voltron all the way.
So almost anime style. So there's a little bit of mention of He-Man, so hopefully they'll have a little crossover on there. But like I said, it's once again every 10 years. Now this is going to be the new version. The way they try to do with like
I don't think
gem
it's been 10 years for this show. I think it's been like 20 or 30.
Oh yeah,
since this show has been on the air. Yeah, for Shira specifically.
Now my thing on it is like I liked they did go younger. They're
doing an origin story, yeah.
Yeah, at least with her look too. They went younger on her.
I like how so she's doing like skirts.
Yeah, the quick shorts instead of the little panties or whatever on there. But even if I can remember, Shira did show off a little bit of cleavage and whatnot because there was a sex appeal because she was a woman. She was an adult woman. She was like in her 20s.
Right.
She would have that younger voice.
She was definitely a spin-off of He-Man, who was already an adult.
Yeah.
And this one they're doing again Shira's origin story, so she's a little prepubescent.
Yeah. So the little joke on there, I don't know if she's going to be. You ever watch the cartoon series, Star versus the Forces of Evil?
Nope, I don't think I have.
It's like a DC, not DC, Disney's version of Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but thankfully they didn't go that art style, because that art style is more like this new version of the Thundercats Roar that we saw. That a lot of people were kind of but this version,
it's like Teen Titans Go in
exactly
like the Thundercats version of it. Yeah.
So my thing is, I'll give it a shot. I'm not crazy about the art style, to be honest, but
look, you liked Voltron, didn't you?
Huh?
Didn't you like Voltron?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's if the storyline's decent,
if it's done right,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters to me. But I'm not going to be like, oh my god, disgusting. Like obviously the Turtles.
I don't know. Shira wasn't my big franchise anyway, so I'm like, I have less invested in that particular character.
The whole franchise with the He-Man, even He-Man did get a couple reboots himself.
Yeah.
Shira, not really, which I'm surprised.
She was always a secondary character to He-Man. Her popularity always rode on He-Man's coattails. And so I think that redoing it as like, oh, this young woman, powerful first kind of concept, and it may work.
Did you watch the Netflix documentary of the toys that made us?
I saw the first episode of like the Star Wars franchise, and I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of it.
But they did a whole He-Man one, and that was the whole thing. Is like, everybody wanted to be He-Man, but nobody really wanted to. They didn't have a female He-Man until Shira came along.
Okay. Other things that were announced during Comic-Con include there's going to be a new Dragon Ball Z movie. Well, it's not called Dragon Ball. It's called Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is going to be in December in Japan. That's when it's going to come out. And then there's going to be an English version in January of 2019. So you got a trailer for it at San Diego Comic-Con. This is the English dub version of it. As soon as it actually pops up on the internets.
Give it a second.
But actually it's really interesting. Like, if you saw Dragon Ball Super, this is going to come after that, because that series has ended and they're doing something else with it, but it's still in production. And so this is going to be the first thing that's come since that series has ended, with like Super Saiyan, like Dragon Ball God, like Super Saiyan God Goku and a bunch of other characters. And they're kind of reintroducing Broly, basically.
Yeah, because I didn't see the quote unquote original Broly where he was all Saiyan. It was like the Dragon Ball Z one.
Yeah, he comes up in here too, but I think I like this version better, because Broly essentially in that last movie, in the original one, just showed up already super powered. He just showed up like another Frieza and just
Saiyan, gold haired, huge, everything.
One like he was green haired, but he like started using his powers right away. And in this one, he's essentially another Saiyan, and he's powering up as he's fighting all these other characters, and he's learning how to fight. And I think it's a better progression arc as far as like the power structure goes. So it is, and you also get to see all the different versions of the Super Saiyans, and yet Broly's still normal.
Yeah,
and it sounds like the very end of the trailer that you actually see the Broly with like the green hair and the slightly green skin at the green powering up thing going on.
My thing is just like, how many versions of the Saiyans that get involved? Now it's becoming like colors now.
No, yeah,
because you got, of course, the gold hair Saiyan. You see the like, what would you call that color? Blue.
Oh no! You basically went from Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3. Then you went to them fusing, and then you went to Super Saiyan God, which is kind of a pinkish, and then you went to the blue one, which was like the upgraded Super Saiyan God. And then there was also like there was a black one, which when he didn't turn black, like the aura was black and his hair was like this weird color.
And there was the monkey version, non-monkey version.
Right, but that was just like, this evil version of Goku from a parallel future.
Then you had the monkey.
Like if you watch Dragon Ball Super, you'll see all the different characters, and it is a little disconcerting. Like, that's where they went. They're just choosing colors at some point.
Exactly. Then you went a monkey with the Saiyan hair. Then with the tail, without the tail, it was just. I think that's what
it's a power up. It's a power up story, but it's always just about the fights. And in that particular anime franchise of like Dragon Ball Super, like the animation gets a lot better towards like the middle and end of that series. Like the beginning, it's very clunky, and I don't recommend watching it because it is just kind of a copy of like what's already been done. But as soon as they get to like the like universe ending tournament style stuff, you see the animation style get a much better. So
just as long as it doesn't drag like the original series.
Much better, yeah. It did. So there you go. So sorry. Side notes. Yeah. Another Comic-Con stuff. You actually get to see the new Doctor Who in her own trailer as she's picking out her companions. So that was the big thing from the BBC and their Comic-Con panel, basically. You got to see the new 13th Doctor, Dr. Jodie Whittaker, and her companions, Graham, Yosem, and Ryan. And they actually did, the BBC did a little bit of a teaser trailer before this came out. And this is the actual trailer for like the first 40 seconds of her picking them out. You see like their little adventures, which is always very much in the tradition of the Doctor Who franchise. The last couple of years, like, oh, here's a teaser of their adventures for the season.
So that's my thing. So she's going with a team. It's not a single companion?
Yeah, and some people have commented like, oh, maybe she can't carry the whole show by herself or with like a person. But it also kind of harkens back to some of the very earliest Doctor Who's episodes of like him having like one companion and then two and then broadening out to a team or a group of people. And nobody says like they're all going to live. I mean, one of the more popular seasons of Doctor Who had two companions, which was like a guy and a girl who eventually got married. And I think that they're bringing back like, oh, this is a larger cast. You can have more individualized storylines. It's also very diverse, which is sort of the theme of this particular Doctor Who incarnation.
The UN of
sort of
Whovians,
young, Latino, black, white, female. So it's we're kind of curious to see what kind of storylines coming from such diversity.
Yeah, because they're not exactly like selling sex appeal on her, so they're not making her wear like a little skimpy outfit or anything like that.
No, that's all true. They're not making her wear skimpy outfits.
Yeah,
not really the Doctor Who thing.
Because that was the thing. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it does obviously catch my interest to find out what they're going with, because they weren't like,
Well, I don't think they wanted to sell her sexiness as her. That's why they chose her as a female Doctor Who. So I'm like, we'll wait and see. But
Respect me for my mind, not my body. It does seem
to be very interesting, and it's kind of curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Now, in some other stuff from San Diego Comic-Con, we actually have some live stills from just the DC booth and their area where they showed us some of the costumes from the Shazam movies and also from Aquaman. So we also have a guy back here, also like I said, Henchman.
Yeah. So, and of course, we'll watch the trailer for Shazam eventually. So but the costume. Remember we saw the stills and everybody thought it was like a weird, really bad muscle suit?
It is. It still is. Like even in the trailers you see, oh, that's a bad muscle suit. But at the same time, it's also it's supposed to be part of the charm. So you have Billy Batson here, and you have young Billy Batson next door.
You said the little extra padding on the bottom too to make it a little more.
He has it's very broad. Yeah. You have the Aquaman underwater armor.
As the evil brother.
This one I thought this was like a Star Trek uniform.
You swear the logo looks like it too.
Yeah, I think Gene Roddenberry has something to say about that. His estate,
and especially the logo any lower, and it looks like. Woo-hoo.
But like the trailer for we're watching this in a few seconds, I promise.
Black Manta,
but good stuff here. The Black Manta costume looks really spot on and interesting.
Yeah,
and I'm happy to see that it actually makes an appearance in the movie, in the trailer, full on with laser eyes and stuff.
Because I didn't think they were going to pull off the helmet. I thought they were going to just tweak around with that.
Yeah, or like it was just going to be a nod to the thing, and the final version looks something different. And they went full on Black Manta helmet, which is very good for me.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a ton of trailers. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trailers. I mean, these are the good trailers. They came out for Comic-Con, and that includes Iron Fist Season 2. We have Titans, Aquaman, Shazam, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and Glass. All amazing trailers, but only one's going to come out a winner for us. We're going to begin with showing off Iron Fist Season 2. And look at that face. He's super excited about Iron Fist.
I'm Danny Rand.
Did you see Iron Fist in what is it called? Not Power Man 3.
Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage. Luke Cage, she's in 3.
I didn't get to finish watching it, but the whole thing is just...
Well, he shows up at the end of it. And sorry, folks, spoilers. He shows up in the end, but he's not blonde, douchey Danny Rand anymore. He's a little more chill. He generally is more chill and more...
Oh, I thought different kind of douche?
No, he's more chill. He's more zen. And he's doing the Danny Rand... Iron Fist like quotes of like philosophy and like balance, and he's trying to bring balance up to Power Man so that he's not just about the anger. And they have this like really good, and I mean really good fight scene between the two, and like playing off each other's powers and like doing like buddy special moves. So I'm not opposed to a second season. I'm genuinely actually kind of optimistic that it's not going to suck.
Well, yeah, because for the comic book fans, they really want to see Heroes for Hire, but we'll see how that goes out.
Yes, and I think they actually do start that a little bit at the end. They do like the Hero for Hire kind of concept, like, oh, them working together as a team to do a thing. And Danny Rand's using his money a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, I admit it, money is a superpower. And that kind of admission is part of his character growth in the Luke Cage season 3 a little bit. So I'm kind of curious to see if they continue on that or if he becomes douchey again, because he also becomes less blonde. He goes with dark hair Danny Rand. So it makes him look a little less douchey.
Yeah.
So here we go, and we saw most of this already.
Yeah.
Of the Titans trailer. So
now, what do you think? Most of the Titans are there, and by most, they're missing the one key element that's kind of jumped between being a Titan and being a Justice League member.
I mean, Cyborg.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's noticeably absent. I'm not really sure where he is because I mean, that Robin is definitely old enough to be, on the Justice League as Nightwing and not just as Robin. Robin in Teen Titans was a teen. It's in the name. So for him to show up there is like, that seems weird. And like I said, we've already talked about we think he's going to go Nightwing at some point. But I like Beast Boy. I thought Starfire was a very interesting choice. We'll have to see how that plays out, though. I
just want to see what animal, if any animal, Beast Boy was going to turn into.
He'll be all of them.
Yeah, but
they have a whole season to fill up.
True.
Okay, next is the Aquaman Comic-Con trailer. Now, this was definitely one of the more popular ones. Like, as soon as it popped up on the internet, people went crazy over the Aquaman trailer. You get to see, what's her face as his mom, his dad.
Yeah.
And you get to see the young life of Aquaman discovering his powers in the aquarium. I thought this was probably my favorite scene right there.
Oh yeah,
where he's like being a bully, but the sharks come to defend him, and they start playing that music. Dun 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 dun.
Are you talking to the fish?
And his eyes turn yellow. Yeah. It's a very fun scene in my opinion.
It's just weird to me because it's the same equivalent of how Superman flies faster, but like Aquaman, he just goes in the water and just jets propelled wherever. It's not like he's actually doggy paddling or
just like
kicking
magic.
or
it's
anything.
Magic.
Exactly.
And then you get to see, of course, the surface world versus the underwater kingdoms. And I think the DC has already done a version of the story in the animated series, and that's what it is. It's almost the exact same, scene for scene like concept of like, Aquaman being brought back to his kingdom so that he can rule Atlantis, and he's going to give his half brother who's trying to take over the kingdom and start a war with the surface world.
Well, that was the whole thing, especially how much of it is actually going to take place underwater, because the effect of being underwater people and still be able to move around, because let's be honest, the physics of underwater, nobody really moves that fast.
They're also like taking some liberties with the speaking thing.
Exactly.
Like you basically see people talking underwater like they would normally on land. And then in the Justice League, when to talk, they had to create like special air bubble things. So they're definitely modifying, they're retconning some of that stuff just to make it a little more easy to film in the franchise. I think underwater is going to be treated a lot like in space. Like
and as far as
like physics and stuff go. Yep. You have all kinds of stuff. Good fight scenes.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's almost like a comedy to me, just because the whole concept. Because that was the whole joke. Aquaman was the one DC character everybody didn't like. It sucked. But now, especially Jason Momoa, they gave him that cool factor. Like, hey, this guy's pretty badass.
Yeah,
it's pretty much
gets
like
that Game of Thrones cred in there.
Exactly. So he's awesome. He's cool. Like I said, I just wanted to see what route they were going to go with. Because can you imagine if they did have a live action version? I guess it was a version that they would have gone. I don't know if it was a fan film or not, but of Aquaman as the stereotypical, the blonde haired, blue eyed, whatever kid and all. But I like this version.
No, it's fun. I think it'll be interesting. I'm optimistic about it. Next one is going to be Shazam. This was also another big trailer from Comic-Con this weekend.
Yeah.
This is the first trailer you get to see, and it basically feels like superhero big.
Yeah. It has more of a feel of a comedy. It's almost like, I want to say it's DC's version of Ant-Man and the Wasp, because there's a lot of jokes in there, quite a bit of humor. It deals with depending if you watch the series, about kid pretty much in the foster system, more or less. Yeah,
kind of a criminalish kid, foster system. Although he looks a little old to be in foster care still, but still.
Yeah.
He on the subway he defends his brother, and he's chosen by the evil wizard to get powers.
Yeah, Oliver Twist style kind of thing.
Well, I don't know if it's Oliver Twistish, but it's almost like a genie-ish, and like, you make a magic wish to get the powers, and how do you want to shape them? And so
so I liked it, especially. The only kind of the debatable issue on this is obviously it takes a while for movies to get made, especially if you have a young actor. He ain't gonna be a kid forever, So especially if this movie franchise takes off really well, I wonder how long they're going to keep that kid around. Because
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they might just like go with a different kid, because you don't really. When you think of Shazam, you don't think of the kid very much, and so it's very easy to switch them out. And those few like tiny scenes when he's around, especially if he's going to be part of the Justice League.
Yeah.
And so outside of the origin story, you don't really need like a specific kid. You know what I mean? Like if he gets too old, if he starts like, you know, his voice drops and he gets too tall and stuff, he gets to be better looking than that Shazam.
That's why I want to know how many puberty jokes are going to be in there and all. And the thing is, they didn't really show it. They didn't show like the Shazam God character's face. So I'm
that's going to be it's the guy. They actually said who it's going to be. It's going to be a black actor who's like he's African and he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Key and Peele guy?
No, he's a serious actor. He was he's been we'll look it up later, but he's not that famous, but he's he's the Wizard Shazam. You can look it up. But like I said, this is basically going to be superhero big, where the character transforms into Shazam and he appreciates what it's like to be an adult and the responsibilities that come with it, being a superhero. And then there's like the evil villain there, which you missed. But it was the evil scientist guy.
Well, wasn't this the tie-in supposedly of the not Black Manta, Black Adam, which The Rock is the equivalent, the bad guy to him?
Yeah, he's the bad guy version, but he's also not going to be in the movie. They've already confirmed that. They're saying, oh no, Black Adam's not making an appearance. This whole movie only exists for the Black Adam movie. Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson is the reason that this movie exists. Yeah,
you pronounce his name.
Jim John Hosea.
Okay.
There you go.
That's the guy.
I don't say that it's correct, but that's the he's Wizard Shazam.
So it's gonna be cool. It's funny. It looks like a fun movie in general, especially with all the dark tones.
They're definitely going with comedy version of instead of like serious.
Yeah, because with the past DCW movies, DC movies, it's always had that dark undertone with a lot of like brooding colors and all that, and it's good to see a big red character popping out with like a sense of humor. Yeah, and like I said, I just want to see where they're gonna go.
They're gonna go with the big storyline. That's already kind of been confirmed as far as like the synopsis of the movie. Mm-hmm. They're gonna go with that kind of big storyline of like, oh, small child turns into adult, and look at the hilarity that comes out of that, and the jokes, and like, oh, the realization, the responsibilities, and do you still want to be a kid afterwards, and appreciating like being a grown-up in this, I guess, whatever.
Exactly.
But that's where that's going to go. I don't doubt that for a minute. But I do think it's going to be funner, hopefully, than the other DC stuff. Mm-hmm. Another trailer that came out, of course, is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It shows that girl from Stranger Things. And you get monsters. Waffle. You get monsters. That's what you're looking for. You got Godzilla, you got Ghidorah, you got Mothra. I think there's another one in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's quite a bit on them.
I'm not sure if King Kong is going to show up.
Well, that was the thing. That was supposed to be the versus movie, right? I guess with him and Kong, but especially the scale.
Looks interesting.
Oh my god!
It's a monster movie. You can't expect too much of it, but I like the fact that there's multiple monsters.
Yeah.
So the King Kong looks very King Kongish.
The Ghidorah monster, the multi-headed dragon, like Hydra style with the massive wings. That's where the whole concept of looked like a, what do you call it, hurricane typhoon thing was coming in, the wave on it, because its wings are so huge and massive, just Godzilla, one little flap
hanging out of there.
Oh yeah, and
I think they show a baby Godzilla in here, if I'm not mistaken. Like there's Ghidorah.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of this art style version of Godzilla? Because obviously, it's not the.
It's more like the traditional Godzilla, isn't it? It's not like the new version. It's like it kind of harkens back to essentially a tall version of it. Like now, was that the turtle one?
Yeah,
I think it was the turtle one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's actual Godzilla, and he looks like Godzilla. He doesn't look like a new reimagined version of it. He looks more like a bear face version.
They went with the obviously a thicker version of the costume, the OG version, because it's definitely not the.
There've been like more lizard incarnations of it. This one definitely looks like he has almost that short, snouty face from the original like 1940s and 50s movies, which I think I like better, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So good stuff. Lots of action. I don't doubt that there's going to be plenty of like explosions and monster on monster things. You can see things in the air
with the massive destruction. I don't know. It's almost to the point. It's like, why even keep the humans around? Because they're gonna mess that whole planet up.
Yeah, and that's that's kind of the idea of the of the premise of that particular movie was like, oh, this is the Earth's response to humanity's destroying of Earth, and that was kind of the premise there. And the actual that's the story that justifies the monster on monster fights.
Yeah.
We also have Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald Comic-Con trailer, which is out now. You get to see Matt Smith, or not Matt Smith. A bunch of people, a bunch of English people.
Well, Mr. Johnny Depp's going to be in this one.
Yeah, you actually see more Johnny Depp there.
And the part that's kind of trippy on it, they did have a live action on Hall H on there. And
Dumbledore showing him how to defeat a Bogart.
The little ironicness is because Johnny Depp just this is more on their personal lives kind of thing. The redheaded chick in Aquaman is actually his ex, and there was that little bit of awkwardness. You know, they're sharing the same stage, whatnot, but they've been pretty civil and just kind of kept their distances from each other. But Johnny Depp's character, he actually did appear at the con, decked out as the character, and he's done that a couple times, especially for Disney. And it's trippy in a good way. He looks very like albino-ish with the two different colored eyes, blonde, really pale. But see, when he goes all out as a character, he stays in that form.
No, he definitely gets committed to his characters. Yeah, you get to see Nicholas Flamel in there, I think, a little bit. He's the man who makes the Philosopher's Stone from Harry Potter 1. But you also get to see him here. Some all kinds of interesting things.
Oh,
Grindelwald.
Now, obviously, I haven't seen Fantastic Beasts. So was it good? Was it worth my God?
It was entertaining. It wasn't very Harry Potter-ish. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't see Harry Potter. It's set like in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And so Harry Potter's not around. You barely get to see like anything of like a Dumbledore at all. And this one definitely has more Dumbledore. So we'll see more familiar characters that are from like the history of Harry Potter.
Okay.
And that's what this was like. So it's like a history
a lot
story from the Harry Potter universe. And so it's part historical fiction. You know, in a respect in that regards. So interesting stuff. There we go. And last but not least, Glass. This is the third film in that M. Night Shyamalan franchise. The first being Unbreakable, the second one being Split, and the third one here being Glass.
Yeah, it was like I guess a trilogy in a weird setup on it. So I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this trailer. Is there or is there no Bruce Willis in it?
No, he's in the full thing.
Oh, okay.
From beginning to end. They're all together, committed in this asylum. The first thing that this lady says is like, I'm a psychologist who specializes in treating people who have a sense of grandeur, specifically that they have superpowers. Or they're
I haven't
superheroes.
Seen Split, though. Split
it's a good movie. Yeah, it's good. You don't actually know that it's part of this thing until like the very, very end of it. Like the last scene shows Bruce Willis. And he's just like sitting around. He's like, oh yeah, remember that thing with that guy who was unbreakable or something? And he's sitting in the cafe. He's like, yeah, I think I recall that. And it turns like he's been, in this one it shows like he's been doing superhero stuff this whole time. And that Glass has been in and out of this jail for his crimes. And she's talking about here in this video, saying like, oh, you all think that you're special, that you're a superhero, that you're supposed to save people as a guardian. And he's like, yeah, I get visions and I'm out to save people. And you know, and then there's Split, who's this multiple personality guy. And one of the personalities is like this roided out beast. And he's essentially superhuman. Like he surpasses the abilities of normal people. But the other characters like sacrifice regular humans to him, like people who were disappointed. And that's supposed to be the beast there. Climb on walls, make massive jumps, is essentially almost bulletproof.
No.
Like he gets shot at some point during the end of Split, sorry for spoilers, and it doesn't kill him. You know what I mean? And then there's Glass, who's the super intelligent one, but he has brittle bones. But he's also, and then towards the end, he'll be like, oh, this is what kind of like where the villains team up. And like I said, very interesting premise. It's an interesting collaboration of all those three films. So those three characters put together, and you actually recreating characters from the movie Split as well. So that girl that you saw there was from the movie Split. Like she was one of the girls that was kidnapped.
I'm not gonna watch it now.
Yeah, it actually really is a good movie. I think it's on Amazon. You can catch it for free, I think.
Cool.
So it's definitely worth watching. It turned into be like, oh yeah, very nice. There's not like horror. It's not one of the slasher films. It is a suspenseful, like, kind of kidnapping film with a psychological element. Like, oh, he has multiple splits in his personality, and then at the end they do the reveal for, like, oh, the Beast that they refer to, like, throughout the entire movie, and you kind of see, like, how his personalities are interacting and trying to control the host. So it is a little more psychological, but like the good stuff, good trailer. So there you go, folks. Those are the 7 trailers that we have. Edgar, which one did you like the best?
Honestly,
Iron Fist.
Honestly, I'm going to say Shazam.
Shazam was the fun one for you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with Godzilla, King of the Monsters, personally. Yeah. I liked. It is what it is. It's not a complicated story. It's monsters fighting monsters, and you just don't see that very much anymore. Each monster gets its own individual film, and then if it happens to be successful, like, you might get a crossover at some point, but you don't really see many crossovers lately. So I was happy to see just like the monster on monster fighting of something that harkens back to like a more classic era. So for you, Shazam, the superhero big movie. For me, Godzilla, the monster fight. So there we go, folks. That's it for the show. We covered a bunch of stuff, a little over an hour at this point. So fun stuff, though. Thanks for hanging out. If you like the podcast, you want to support us in any way, shape, or form, you can find all the ways to do so at
geekbytespodcast.com/support.
There we go, folks. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, folks. For Geek Bytes Podcast, I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, until we hang again, remember to go geek out about something. Goodbye, everybody.